The Crane Who Remembered Every Life. In a time when the mountains were young and rivers chose their own paths, there lived a crane unlike any other. Her feathers were the color of winter clouds, and her eyes held the deep, shifting gray of a twilight sky. She did not have a name, for names are things given by others, and she had flown alone for longer than the pines on the ridge had stood. For this crane carried a divine burden, or perhaps a divine gift. She remembered every life she had ever lived, and she recognized every soul she had ever met, no matter what flesh they now wore. She had been, in turns, a fisherman's daughter on a jade-green lake, a potter shaping stories from clay, a stone in a temple wall that heard 1,000 prayers, and in each life she had known others, lovers, enemies, parents, children. Now, as a crane, she saw them all pass by, wearing new faces, living new stories, utterly forgetful of the past. One autumn, as cold painted the edges of the leaves, she circled above a village nestled in a valley of golden rice. A familiar tug, like a silken thread tied to her heart, pulled her down. In a courtyard, a little boy was crying over a broken wooden horse, its legs snapped clean off. The crane landed softly on the wall, and the boy looked up, tears pausing on his cheeks. In his eyes she did not see a child of 7 reigns, but the proud, wounded gaze of a young warrior king she had known 3 lifetimes ago, to whom she had been a rival chieftain. Then the king had shattered her favorite spear. Now he had broken a toy. The crane let out a soft, rattling call. She hopped down, picked up the broken leg in her slender beak, and held it out to the boy. He took it, wonder replacing sorrow. She bowed her head once, then flew away. The lesson this time was not of war, but of mending. Years passed. The crane returned to the valley. The boy was now a young man, a gifted woodcarver with gentle hands. He sat under the same courtyard tree, shaping a piece of cherry wood. His brow was furrowed in frustration. The wood would not become the bird he saw in his mind. The crane alighted beside his workbench. In the intense focus of his face, she now saw the weary scribe she had been married to 2 lives past, a man who always struggled to find the perfect word. She reached out with the tip of her wing and gently tapped a knot in the wood, then the carver's chisel. He looked from the wood to the crane, and his eyes cleared. He smiled, not recognizing her, yet feeling a sudden, profound sense of companionship. He changed his design, working with the knot, making it the bird's heart. The finished piece was more beautiful for its flaw. More seasons turned. The woodcarver became an old man, his hands now still. His grandson, a fiery-tempered youth, argued loudly with a neighbor over the boundary of a field. Their shouts filled the air. The crane, her feathers now edged with the silver of countless dawns, landed between them on the disputed stone. She looked at the grandson and saw the jealous younger brother she had once been, in a life as a spice merchant's child. She looked at the neighbor and saw the loyal friend she had betrayed in a life as a wandering musician. The memory of those old hurts, sharp as yesterday, filled her. She spread her vast wings, not to fly, but to separate them, a living curtain of white between their rage. Then she pointed her beak, first to the shared irrigation ditch, then to the ripe barley on both sides of the line, and finally to the distant mountains that belonged to no one. The men fell silent, disarmed by the strangeness of the bird's deliberate action. Shamefaced, they divided a jar of rice wine instead and drank together. That night, weary to her very bones, the crane roosted in a cedar near the old woodcarver's home. The old man, sensing his time was near, had himself carried outside to see the moon. He saw the crane in the tree. "You," he whispered, his voice a dry leaf, "I have seen you all my life, at my tears, at my work, at my family's quarrels. Who are you?" The crane descended and stood before him. She could not speak a human tongue, but she met his gaze. In his fading eyes, all the faces she had ever seen in him, the warrior king, the scribe, the woodcarver, the child, swam together. And he, in the profound clarity of his final moments, saw not a bird, but a presence vast and ancient, filled with a love that was not soft, but utterly seeing. He saw recognition in her eyes, and a sorrow older than the hills. "You remember," he breathed in awe. "You remember for all of us." The crane bowed her head. The old man smiled a peace-filled smile. "What a weight you carry, but what a kindness to be known, truly known." He closed his eyes, and his soul, light as dandelion seed, drifted away. The crane felt the silken thread connecting them for this life go slack. She knew she would feel its pull again, someday, in a new form. A profound loneliness swept over her then, a loneliness of eons. She lifted her head and cried out to the cold, star-dusted sky, a long, piercing call that held the grief of 1,000 goodbyes and the joy of 1,000 hellos, the bitterness of old betrayals and the warmth of reconciled smiles. High above, the moon goddess heard the cry. She was moved by the crane's eternal vigil, her endless silent service of remembrance. The goddess descended in a beam of silver light. "Little sister," she said, her voice the sound of distant bells, "you have borne the memory of the wheel of life so that others might move freely upon it. Your burden is your purpose, but even purpose needs respite." The moon goddess touched the crane's head. "Henceforth, you will still remember, but with each soul you recognize, you may choose to share a single memory, not as you see it, but as a dream. In their sleep, they will feel the echo of an old love, the shadow of a past lesson, the warmth of a forgotten friendship. They will not understand, but it will make their hearts wiser, their steps kinder, and you will know you are not alone in the remembering." The crane felt a change within her. The memories were not a weight in her chest, but a river in her soul. She could, if she wished, let a single drop overflow into the dreams of those she met. She bowed deeply to the goddess. From that night on, the people of the valley and beyond spoke of the ghost crane, the dreaming bird. They said if you met her gaze and your heart was open, you might dream that night of a city you never saw, or feel a forgiveness for an enemy you never knew you had, or recall the scent of a flower that does not grow in this world, and your life thereafter would be subtly, inexplicably richer. And the crane flies on, even now. She is in the marsh at dawn. She is circling the high, lonely passes. She is watching over the cradle of a newborn and beside the bed of the dying. She recognizes you from a shared meal on a long-vanished road or a kindness in a forgotten field. And if you are very quiet and your soul is listening, you might feel a feather-soft brush against your deepest self, the gentle, ancient gift of being remembered and the silent promise that no meeting, no matter how brief, is ever truly lost.